After a few minutes, you're going to ask, what kind of choices have I made in my life that have led me to listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast? Today, we're going to talk about Plane, starring Gerard, Butler, and we're also going to ask the big question.
Submitted on Twitter from Rob, what's your favorite guilty pleasure movie?
And we'll also ask the question, why did they call it Plane?
Oh, boy.
Okay, let's answer the first question. Why do they call it Plane? Because it's all about a plane that goes down. Gerard Butler. Oh, I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. Let's play the clip from the trailer that's been out for months.
They were done somewhere in the Jolo Island cluster. It's run by separatists and militias. The Filipino army won't even go there anymore. The clock is ticking. Every minute matters. We can count those minutes in lives, lost or saved.
So the plane crashes. Gerard Butler playing a heroic captain. He's also got a quote-unquote dangerous criminal on board, played by Mike Colter. You may remember from Luke Cage in the Marvel Universe. And they have to fight against this militia on this island and somehow get the passengers back alive. Initial takes on Plane. This time, let's start with Jeremy Gover.
Oh, God. Really? Do I have to go? Okay.
Oh, especially if you say, oh, God.
I know. Well, okay, because our job here on the show is to go to these films, go to the movies, take them in, make some notes, come back and talk about each other. For those who don't know, we do not discuss our takes on movies until we're on the show.
Until the mics are in front of us.
Right. We don't text each other and be like, oh, did you see that crap? Or, hey, that was really great. Like, there's nothing. It's radio silence unless it's, have you seen the movie? Yes, great. See you at 7 o'clock when we record. That's the only time we talk about stuff. That being said, my job was to go to the theater and see Plane, and I don't like flying. I am scared of flying. I am now medicated to do so, and it helps miraculously. It's so different, but I'm still terrified of flying. That being said, that I had to walk out of the theater when the plane went down. I could not handle it. I had to leave. I just guessed. 3 minutes in, I was like, okay, it should be landed by now. I'm going to go back in. And I went back in, and they were out of the weather part of it. And now they were just trying to find a place to land, and I was fine with that. But I could not handle the images or even the thought of this plane having problems midair.
I'm so glad I had to walk came back in time to see the Sci-Fi Channel original movie special effects of it landing and actually hitting the ground.
Yes. That's
Good.
what So,
I'm so glad you did.
But I just wanted to be upfront and let everybody know that I did not watch 100% of the film. I had to step out for 5 minutes or whatever.
Full disclosure.
And then I came back in and I, So I saw the preview 6 months ago in the theater. Plane. And the font was in the Lost font, the Lost TV show. Where it's Lost and
no mistake there.
That was the font, right? That was the font, and so I thought, oh, this until they revealed the name of the movie, Plane, I thought it was Lost. I thought, oh, they're doing Lost on movie because it was so similar, right? Plane goes down, just I was like, all right, it's Lost. So I was not a fan of that because it's obviously a redirect. The last thing I'll say about this before I hand it off to Bradford probably is that. Buckle up, Bradford. I actually enjoyed this movie.
Oh, God dang it.
Oh, no. Other than the part that I couldn't stomach, I was thoroughly entertained. Now, is it a perfect movie? No. But are there a lot of things I would change? But is there a lot of things I would change? Yes. But I got enough out of it to where I was not upset that I went to the movie theater.
All right.
So that's my glowing review of Plane.
Okay.
I got enough out of it to where I was not upset that I saw it.
Okay.
Bradford.
Oh, God. Okay. So what frustrates me so much is I go to Rotten Tomatoes and I see that it has a 76 on the tomato meter and a 94 audience score.
We've talked about this.
Have we dropped the bar so low?
It is post-COVID.
We've dropped the bar so low on what we expect out of something that we're just like, oh, yeah, it's great. Gerard Butler gets a paycheck. I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to love it. I did not expect to see my heritage represented in this movie.
My heritage.
In the form of a Filipino separatist group. where a plane crash lands on a wide dirt road, conveniently placed. When they drop the word Tagalog, I'm like, they really are Filipinos. Okay.
They're
Of
legit.
all the countries that they could have separatist groups or militias, they're like, you know what? We're just going to spin the globe, and wherever the finger lands, that's the villain in this one. Because you know what? We just always go with Russians. We always go with the Middle East. We always go with like China. Let's just spin the Philippines and the Jeju Islands. Sure, yeah, we'll go with that.
At least they named it instead of Top Gun Maverick's mysterious country.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, whatever. But when I'm watching this, which was a waste of my time, I was reminded.
Cover almost did a spit take.
I was reminded
fantastic.
of those made-for-TV action movies that you'd see on CBS or NBC or ABC in the 90s or early 2000s, where 3 months out, they're marketing it going, it's the movie event of the year. November.
Yeah.
Can't miss it. Because the visual effects reminded me of that. The acting reminded me of that. Dear God, did you hire the third-rate Marvel CGI team to do this with the plane? And then you have the CEO in a high-rise in New York hiring a rogue squadron of people through their PR firm to go and help. What the hell was going on in this movie?
I just think you're bitter because they were Filipino.
No, I had no problem with that because I'm like,
well, you just said you did.
No. I had no problem with that because I'm like, but at least they got the accent right when they're speaking English.
See, so there's some good things.
No, they hired Filipinos, I could tell, but one of them was like, his nose isn't quite right.
Okay.
I don't think he's actually Filipino. But so, you know, in the action movies in the 90s, like Steven Seagal movies, there's so many eye roll moments, right?
Sure.
Things that just don't make sense, and they're not supposed to because that's what drives everything along. But that's what I didn't understand about the film. I didn't understand that we haven't evolved in action movies yet, that we still had to have this kind of thing happen.
Okay, well, my first take is that is exactly what they wanted to do, is take it back to 90s or even 80s movies. I think maybe Top Gun Maverick gave them the green light to say, I bet you, that movie satisfied a huge audience because it went back to that, even though they didn't do it in that style.
Though.
Well, this didn't satisfy me, I can tell you that.
Oh, yes, you are clearly unsatisfied.
Okay, so, I mean...
But for me, I thought this is exactly what they were doing. And then I think Gerard Butler is a pretty good actor, and I like him in this role. He always does a good job with these things. They're always kind of lower budget, not really above the radar kind of movies. He's almost like a poor man's Liam Neeson. Okay, we're just we'll do Gerard Butler. And we'll just put him in this situation. He's going to be brave. He's going to be cool. We're going to introduce. It didn't anger me because I just like, well, this is obviously what they're doing. They're going back and they're mining from old styles and genres and decades, and they're just putting something out. So I don't know. It didn't make me mad.
I'm not necessarily mad. I'm just frustrated because I feel like with something like this, first of all, I was almost expecting a little more comedy based on the trailer because the way they revealed the name of the film made me go, plane?
I know.
That's what had my expectation. Like Megan, for instance, okay? Megan sets it right off in the film of we're laying the expectations you're going to laugh through this quote-unquote horror film. This was trying to be too serious, I think, in some times. That's what made me frustrated because it was the 90s action film that I didn't want. I wanted an action film for today about a plane having to crash land and them having to escape from it. There's so many things you could do with that.
That reminds me, your take right there, reminds me of what I thought about Violent Night. I thought Violent Night was going to be this kind of, okay, we're going to go back to the 80s and 90s and we're going to really lean into the camp and we're going to make it ridiculous and fun.
Yeah, they did.
And it wasn't.
It did.
And so your take on this movie is it's a role reversal because I enjoyed it as an action, a simple-minded, check your brain at the door action movie. And then you're saying the same things I said about Violent Night, which is the opposite.
But Violent Night was kitschy.
It wasn't, though.
It was. They said Santa Claus is coming to town and Christmas is canceled.
They tried too hard.
No, they didn't.
Whatever, dude. Look, we're not reviewing Violent Night. My point is that your take on that is what mine was in that episode. And it's really interesting how it's now vice versa because you love everything.
No,
and you
I
hated
don't.
this, and I hate everything.
Why do you say I love everything when I
this?
don't? Why do you say I love everything when I don't? I try to go to movies that I think I'm going to enjoy.
But that's
and
not how it always works out, dude.
So
We're
just
doing
because
a
I give
podcast
something a
about stuff.
7, just because I give something a 7 doesn't mean I loved it. It means that's what I thought about it. Things that I love will get an 8, 9, or something like that. I've given out 5s and 6s. I don't love everything.
There's nothing you've given out that's a 2 or a 3. That's
I
my
don't
point.
have to because I haven't seen anything that sucks because I don't want to waste my time doing that. Why would I want to waste my time and put myself in a situation?
In the name of the show, that's why. We have
Then name a movie that's going to
to
suck.
We don't just get to watch we like.
I'm sorry that your opinion sucks so much that you hate movies. And then I try to make suggestions of things that I think we're going to enjoy, at least have fun discussing, but you end up just hating for some odd reason. So if you want to name some films that you think I'm going to give a 2, by all means, but then you're just wasting people's time and money because who's going to listen to that?
How does it feel to be where Jeremy and I were on the Violent Night episode?
With awful opinions?
I mean, if the shoe fits.
It only made $20 million in its opening weekend.
By the way, I'm not saying this movie's good. I'm just saying
that's what I'm about to say.
I'm
Do
saying
you
that I
really
enjoyed
think
it.
this is good?
I say I enjoyed it.
So I'm going to be curious in your score then. If you give this anything higher than a 6.5, where does it lay it?
Then let's go to scores.
All right, let's
Wait,
go to
Jimmy,
scores.
Has Jimmy even talked about it?
Oh, I don't know.
You know,
we were arguing last 10
There's
minutes.
not a whole lot to talk about with this movie.
There isn't.
But, you know, like there were some hold my breath moments, you know, adrenaline flowing a little bit. But
I tensed during the phone call.
Yeah.
How much of this phone call is he going to get through? I tensed during that.
Sure.
Tense about as much as my butt did during Geostorm.
Which is another Gerard Butler movie, by the way.
That's the point.
That's where you're going with this.
Give me more London Has Fallen stuff, and that's
Yeah.
where I can like release myself of, okay, well, this is just so far-fetched. I'm okay with those Gerard Butler movies.
Yeah. See, now I'm at the point where I expect that with Gerard Butler movies.
Yeah, he's
Because
getting a
done
paycheck.
so many of them. Yeah. I mean, he does
But
does
this would have been fine released to streaming. I wouldn't have had as much of a problem with it if it was direct to streaming.
like I referenced before a direct to cable, you know, as far as the production value on the special effects. But, you know, was I mildly entertained? Yeah, kind of was. So
Finish my popcorn.
let's do our scores.
Bradford, why don't you go ahead and start since you're the one who hated this movie so
You want
much.
me to kick it off?
Yeah,
Okay.
I want you to kick it right in the you know where.
Yeah.
The cojones.
Kick it in the nads.
Yes.
Okay, 3.5.
Okay.
3 point. Is that the lowest score you've ever given?
By far.
No, Moonfall, if we would have rated that.
We didn't
and
do a
critiqued
show
that.
on
I
that.
know we didn't, but I'm saying that would have been lower, but
But
that is
it-
probably the lowest score I've given.
Wow.
Although, I mean, Black Adam now, thinking about that one, would probably put it Morbius. Plenty of crap movies out there, but I like everything.
I got to tell you, I kind of like Justin Bradford noir.
I do too.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
good.
excellent.
That's a welcome departure. Yeah, bring it. This is Jim, and I'm going to give this movie a 5. I enjoyed it. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't great. This is one of those things where I forgot about the movie shortly after I saw it. But you know what? If I'm over at somebody's house and I walk in the door and they're watching it, yeah, I'll sit down and go, yeah, I remember this. This is all right.
Well, it's memorable enough for that.
Yeah, so it gets a 5. Jerry Gover.
I
liked it.
Listen, I have found that there's some Gerard Butler action movies that I actually enjoy.
300.
300 is
I
fantastic.
actually did not like 300 as much, actually. I thought it was overdone.
Do I have to say anything more, people?
Olympus Has Fallen, I thought was super fun.
Fun movie.
Yep. And so I'm starting to wonder if the problem isn't him, but more so his project selection.
Well, I think his criteria is, do I get a check and is there a hot bowl of soup at the end of it? And I really like Gerard Butler.
No, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I like him better in action comedies.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
romantic
made a-
comedies.
Yeah.
you made a perfect comparison earlier to Steven Seagal movies.
Yeah,
And I think that's exactly what this is.
sure.
Marked for death of this decade,
Oh, yeah.
whatever, right? So I'm going to have to give it a 5 as well because it is the absolute most average action movie from a filmmaking standpoint that you could possibly have.
It's outstanding in its averageness.
It is because it is very average. And
Why were we arguing then?
I'm about to tell you. just because it's an average movie where the effects aren't that great, but the acting's fine, they kind of offset each other.
Sure.
The plot is like, all right, but then it's still kind of enjoyable to watch. All those things kind of offset each other, and it's just right down the middle for me.
I mean, like the straight dirt road that they landed on?
Kind of like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
It had its problems.
Nice callback.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I did not regret going to watch this movie. And therefore, it's like, okay, I was entertained at least for an hour 45 or whatever it was. But nothing, I'm not going to remember anything about it other than Gerard Butler is.
Remember Filipinos trying to blow things up.
Well, you do because you hit
I know.
on a personal level.
It's still striking a nerve
So,
hours
yeah,
later.
Exactly. Yeah. And he didn't like, what was it, Geostorm? Is that the other one you didn't like?
Oh, it made me roll my eyes so much.
Yeah. See, so I think he has personal baggage more than anything. The point is, what I'm trying to make is, it's
called fat.
It's a solid 5. It's a solid 5 for me because it is the most average action movie where you enjoy it. You're able to turn your brain off when you walk in the door. You leave and you forget you ever saw it. So for me, 5.0.
Our question comes to us from Rob on Twitter. What's your favorite guilty pleasure movie not named Plane?
First of all, thank you, Rob, for the question. We always love getting your questions. We have a list of, I've said this before, but we have a list of like 22-ish questions that we have kind of on deck.
Yeah.
But they all pale in comparison to whatever questions you submit to us.
Yeah,
so we
they're
really
good.
want to thank you for your contribution there, Rob. Jimmy, you want to go first? Or you want me to go ahead and go first?
I'm happy to go first.
Okay.
This is a movie that, without seeing it, I made fun of for several years. Okay. I won't go into the story.
That
but
doesn't sound fair.
long story short, like there was a joke amongst a lot of us at work about a Hot Rod DVD that could be given away. And every time it was sent out somewhere, like this grand opening of a store, nobody would take it as a prize. And we were just like, well, we still have the Hot Rod DVD, the same one to give away. So it became a running joke.
You're talking about Hot Rod, the Andy Samberg movie?
You bet I am.
Holy crap.
So that's a guilty pleasure.
So
I forgot
yes,
that movie was even made.
it's a really dumb movie. And so after making jokes about this movie I had never seen, and then seeing the movie, I was so embarrassed at how much I laughed.
Interesting.
I laughed over and over. And then my son saw it, and he's like, Dad, I don't know if you ever heard of this movie, but Hot Rod, and I had just seen it maybe like 2 weeks before, and I'm like, yeah, that was funny. And like, yeah, but we did that within the confines of our own house. Nobody else
Probably smart.
could hear it. But yeah, my guilty pleasure is the movie about, Andy Samberg trying to be a stuntman and trying to do this big stunt, riding his big jump over 15 buses. And, it's a dumb movie, but it just solidly makes me feel all warm and fuzzy and gives me serotonin from the stupid laughs I have.
Wow.
I want to know you. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, for guilty pleasure movie, is this something that we would say somebody typically wouldn't think we would watch? Is that what we're
Probably.
trying to deem that as? Because like there's some, I'm looking at lists, right, of what are guilty pleasure movies. And someone going, well, I like that movie. Like that's a movie I watch because I'm a sports fan or because I just like that movie. So this is one of those things where people, when you say it, is going to be like, what Gover's reaction was, oh, I didn't know the movie existed. That kind of film, right?
Well,
we're going by.
that could be it. Or I think it could also be a movie that was not well praised critically, but, and people who know, go like, I know it's dumb. Like I know so many people that will watch, the Hallmark Christmas movies. Like they know it's terrible, but it's their guilty pleasure. They'll still enjoy it anyway, even though they know everybody else is making fun of it.
Okay.
So that's one of them.
So for me, I'm basing this on something that if it's on TV, I'll let it play. I'll watch it. I can quote it, a lot of it. But it's one of those things that a lot of people watch it and still enjoy it. Mine would be Bring It On.
Wow.
I didn't expect that. But
Mission accomplished.
the music guy, it kind of makes sense. There's a musical,
It's just one of those things, like, it's quoted so much, doing the cheer from it and everything. It's just one of those things that's ingrained in my head of so many things from that movie, of watching it while kind of growing up in high school, college, things like that. And now if it's on, it's on. And obviously the kind of things, too, that back when it came out, Kirsten Dunst and Eliza Dushku were just hot.
Right.
I mean, as a dude, like, I know why I'm watching it.
So
And Gabrielle Union, I mean,
started
it's just,
with hormones.
yes. And then it's guilty pleasure because I can quote the movie and have fun with watching it. And if it's on, yeah, I'm going to watch it. It's a fun movie for me. I just like, it's fun. It brings a lot of joy and fun when it's on because you know what's going to happen. It's this cheerleading film, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah. It's like a grown man on a moped. I'm having a great time, but please, I don't want my friends seeing me do this.
Like the ones in the Michael Jackson music videos, or like those guys are creepy as hell, Jim. The twins.
Take it wherever you like.
Okie dokie. Gover.
Your guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah, so you helped me define it. Okay, so my answer was going to be Beavis and Butthead Do America, because I think it's brilliant. And it's just, I don't know if anybody even remembers
I
it was
gotta
even
admit, I
made.
haven't seen it.
Oh, it was so funny. But then I started looking at I heard your guys's, and I was like, oh, it's not deep enough, right?
Your answer is your answer.
No, I know.
It's
Okay, well, all right, then I'm going to stick with it.
It's
Beavis
all
and
good
Butthead
here.
Do America. I think it's hilarious. I think it's brilliant. It's brilliantly done. It's fun. It's rewatchable. It's quotable in a circle of inner friends.
Yeah, you're not going to, lay a quote out there in a sophisticated cocktail party.
Correct.
But the right group is going to know it.
They're going to really appreciate it. I think it's very underrated.
Gover's going to pull out his cornholio out of nowhere in the middle of a Zoom meeting.
On a plane, and I'm going to be like, hey, buckle my seatbelt.
Yeah, I'm cornholio!
So why don't you tell us your guilty pleasure movie and tell us why, and we'd love to hear from you. And if you have any comments about anything we said today about our guilty pleasures or plane, or if you also want to make the joke that everyone's made, which is the sequels will be trains and automobiles.
That'd be fun.
Whatever you want to lay on
Plane.
us, hit us up.
Twitter, Facebook, on a plane.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett. The Untitled Film Project Podcast is presented in cooperation with iHeartRadio.